Hello beautiful people, Carl here from Games, Brains and Headbanging Life, gbhblofficial for short. The State of Things, episode number 9. Welcome. How are you? I hope you're well. I'm middling at the moment, mainly because I'm a little bit frazzled, a little bit tired, but that is because I'm on night shifts. Hence why this is coffee, not tea. It's because I'm going to be up all night long. So I change up my coffee drinking when I'm going to be on nights. And I'm having some coffee late at night. Yes, I'm actually recording this the night before it goes up, Friday evening. And this was purely because I had a choice. I had enough time to do it this evening. I'm home alone. Or come in from work tomorrow morning and do it tomorrow morning when I'm going to be more tired, basically. And while sometimes it works to my favour and it makes it, a little bit more focused and things like that, I can envision already that it was going to be a struggle, particularly afterwards in getting it up and of course, editing and all of that. This way, I kind of get to do all of this beforehand because I've probably got, looking at the time now, I've probably got about an hour and a bit before I have to go into work. Now, I'm not planning to record an hour-long video today. I really want to keep this tight and to the point because there's not a lot of things I want to cover really in it. But I say that every week, don't I? And each time it's 30, 40 minutes long, if not even more than that. But yeah, it's nights at the moment. I'm about halfway through, coming up to the halfway point of my run of a week of nights. And it's been busy. Not work-wise, work's work. But my life's busy at the moment in the sense that I have a lot of content that needs to be done. And I fell behind, basically, after a difficult couple of weeks. Obviously, I talked about that in the last video. And while that has passed, thankfully, I'm back to a bit more structure. It meant I've had to play catch up. And some of that can be really, really difficult to do at times, particularly when the mind isn't there. And it seems like I've got so much to do, both from a written perspective and a video perspective. But before we get into that, the kind of week started off on a bit of a downer, a bit of a negative. Last Sunday, I went for a long walk. It was quite a nice day, so I went for a walk and so on. And ended up running into someone that I don't know well, but like I know for a friend of a friend, that kind of thing. And, you're just being polite, you're making conversation in the street, that kind of thing. And it's a comment, just a little comment was said that kind of made me go, huh? Like, when it's kind of like, why would you sort of say that little comment? This kind of comment to kind of make you feel a bit silly and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm not particularly friends with this person, so I let it go. But I thought about it afterwards, and I remember talking to my wife about this, the fact that what it kind of did was one of the sort of eye-opening moments where I'm like, okay, I've thought about the fact that this person made this little comment for no real reason, and what does that say about them more than anything else? And then it kind of makes up my mind about how I feel about this person who I wasn't particularly sure about beforehand anyway. Whenever I've met them, they've always been not a person I like to spend too much time around, and now it just basically confirmed it for me. I don't particularly care for this person, and that was fine. But then it was like the next day there was an email I got which had a little bit of a sarcastic ring to it after I'd asked a question that kind of made me go, oh, okay, made me feel like an idiot again. And especially like the whole week's like, oh wow, this is just awesome. I really wish people would think about the sort of things they say and do, even if it's in a written email and stuff like that, I try to. I hope you do as well. When you think about how your words have impact on someone and think that, like, there's no need. Like, sometimes. The thing that really bothered me about these two specific examples I'm using is that neither was necessary. There was not necessary outside of the person. I just think just being a bit of a dick, basically, to put it simply. And it was just unnecessary. And that's what I kept going back to. Why was that? Anyway, call it fate, call it luck if you want, and so on, because that kind of put me on a bit of a downer at the start of the week. But a series of events, a series of opportunities, a series of great emails and conversations, I kind of got it all back on track and served as a great reminder that I thoroughly enjoy what I'm doing, and most people in the world are really, really decent human beings. And just trying to get on with things, which is, really, really heartening. It's all I bloody want to do, and I hope it's all you want to do. But yeah, there's been some really good opportunities that have come my way this week. Hopefully they'll all come to fruition. And, based off what I said last week as well, a couple of decisions on my own end to be a bit more upfront about certain things has paid off already, and I'm quite pleased about that. I'm hoping this kind of continues. Obviously there'll be ups and downs. It is this world. So, one day I'm on a high, the next day there'll be something to maybe knock it down a bit. But for the most part, I moved on from the people who make their little comments. It's like a YouTube comment section in real life, I guess, almost to a degree, except I often forgive things like in emails and texts and all that because context, right? You can't get tone of voice. You know, a text can read one or two ways, for example, purely because you can't get the tone of voice correct outside of doing a voice note and stuff like that. But in the case of the email I received, it was quite obvious thanks to a specific word that was used. But yeah, like, so for the most part, I'll forgive all of that and understand that completely, and know that, you know, my own anxiety issues, my own, you know, my own like self-doubt areas and all that often make you read something in a different way. So I completely understand that. And I myself, like, when it comes to emails, I'm quite a direct person. I think I quite write from a professional perspective for the most part. You don't ever want to see my work emails, but work emails are what you would call blunt. But they're work emails, you know. I kind of wanted to get to the point and move on from it, that kind of thing. But yeah, those ups and downs will happen, and for the most part, it's been an up week, and I'm quite pleased with that. Even going into tonight, well, I wasn't really feeling it, wasn't really vibing with it. What choice do I have? It's work. They're paying me a lot of money to do this, and yeah, so I wasn't really feeling it. But so far, it's been okay. So it's meant the week's been pretty solid. But I, as I said, was balancing things this week. We were running out of content on the website. I normally work quite a few weeks in advance, particularly with regards to things like horror movies, and certainly with music releases as well. I normally have around two weeks worth of content ready to go. I had none. Literally had none. I had no time, had no drive, had no... lots of things, lots of issues around it. So normally, if that happens, what that means is that the other area of the site is kind of like... it's running well, the video side of things. That one normally has got quite a bit going on. It's like that's what the balance act has always been. If the written side of things is lacking, the video side of things is flourishing, and vice versa. That's kind of how I work. It's constantly like that. I don't like that. I would like it to be more that and in balance, but it rarely happens. Well, this week, at least at the start of this week, it was they're both down here. That was the biggest problem. I had more on the video side of things, but certainly felt like I knew I had a lot of work still to do with the video side of things, in regards to editing, in regards to getting interviews together, interview content and articles related to that, to writing notes for certain of the shows that they made one to a TV series and We're Afraid of the Dark and all of that. A lot of stuff just hadn't been done. So start off this week basically thinking, oh my God, I really need to crack on with this. Now, nights are a good opportunity for that at work. I've told you this before. There is a point where I kind of have nothing else to do, really. And I'm not one to sort of sit down and watch a film or anything like that. So I tend to use that time for website-related stuff. I can't do any video work, obviously, at work. And even still, there's a limit to what I can do from the writing perspective. But I can certainly listen to music and write on a Word document, which is obviously what I do while monitoring the station, dealing with contractors and all the other bits of silliness that happen at night en route to reopening in the morning. Because remember, I don't go home when the station opens. I'm there for another, well, mostly 2 hours. Most stations open at 5 a.m. I'm there until 7 a.m. Unless my relief comes in a bit earlier. So, you know, it's not like I get to open and just walk out. It's not quite how it works. Yeah, so like, I've been able to use some of that time. But at home, getting up, basically, this has been the structure of my week, and it's a bit extreme. It is extreme, and I guess I'm telling you about it because I kind of want you to show off a little bit more my dedication and how much effort I put into getting this content out and up on social media, on the website, on YouTube, and all of that. I'll get in, say, this is an average day. I'll get in, say, 7:30 latest. Latest at 7:30. But most of the week I've been in about 10 past, 7:15. But let's just say it's 7:30 at the latest. I've just had a reminder pop up. A horror movie repost. Every 2 days I've got to do a repost from old horror movies for the website. We're doing that now because we have so many horror movies, so much content that are written like 8 years ago, 7, 6, all those many years ago, and have been kind of buried on the site. And we kind of want to give them a repost feel. But not only that, some of them are written when different algorithms were supported by it. And now because of that, the content isn't as strong as it was. It gives me a chance to rewrite them, basically. But anyway, I'll get in, let's say 7:30 latest. I might have set myself a task in the morning. I often will sort of stay up for a bit anyway, at least until 8 o'clock for the 8 o'clock post to go up, and then I'll go to bed after I've reshared that. But sometimes I've given myself a task, a small task. It might be a quick video edit, it might be something else, and so on. But for the most part, I tend to just stay awake, wind down a bit, ready for that 8 a.m. reshare of the review that goes up at 8 in the morning on the weekdays. Then I might sleep, at least in the first set of nights, I will normally sleep the first one until about 1 o'clock. 1:30, 2 o'clock if I'm lucky. That will get later as the week goes on. For example, today I actually overslept. I forgot to set an alarm. I had wanted to set an alarm for 3 p.m. but I actually woke up at 3:40, which then put me behind with the single slam that I needed to do because I wanted to initially start the single slam. So basically my plan was to get up at 3 p.m, have some coffee, get my head together, then jump on the computer from about 3:30 and start working on the single slam, which was 15 tracks long today. So needed a lot of work done to it. Then I wake up at 3:40. I spend 5-10 minutes doom scrolling and just wondering, what's the point of it all, before finally dragging my ass out of bed. I didn't really get started till 4 o'clock. And when I've got an hour until that has to go live, you can kind of see the pressure on. That's how it normally actually works. Although normally from a more relaxed perspective, I will say go to bed by 8. Let's say I'm asleep by 8:15, because I do tend to fall asleep quite quickly. So I'm asleep by 8:15. I'm up at 3 o'clock for the most part, most circumstances. Outside of occasion on a weekend, I might treat myself and not set an alarm, and then sometimes I'll sleep to like 5. And that's like me catching up for the week kind of thing. But for the most part, it's 3 p.m. Then I get up, get a cup of coffee, wander around, as I said, questioning the point of it all, and wondering, should I just run away, go live in a forest somewhere, live off the land, eat mushrooms, and die at a healthy age of 42. I'm 40 now, so, ain't got much longer. But yeah, do all of that, and then eventually go, right, time to sit down. Now, because I've been asleep, the very first thing that normally happens is emails. I've been asleep, so emails have piled up and I haven't had the chance to look. So I'll quickly scan for all of them to see if there's anything I've missed, anything there that I need to answer immediately or needs my attention or is that important that I really got to put a time to it. Fingers crossed, and that's often what I do, fingers crossed most of the time that's not the case. Now, whatever next is dependent. It all depends what tasks I've set. I will always have set some tasks. It could be writing some music reviews. It could be publishing some music reviews. It could be responding to emails, doing some video edits and so on. But there will be something, and it will normally start from a specific point, say 3:30, and run until about 6 o'clock, where Lou comes home, we have dinner and stuff like that. Then normally the evening's latest part after that, say 7:30 onwards, is sort of dedicated to relationship time and, watch a film or something like that. But this week I've had to basically stay on the computer. A combination of having to write music, get edits up, get edits done for videos, get content up on the website, which is another really lengthy and laborious sequence. So basically my week so far has been mostly get up on the computer within half an hour, do that for a good few hours, maybe in between stop occasionally, like make a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, use the bathroom, and then put something on for dinner once Lou texts me that she's at a specific point. And then from there, back on the computer after eating, and that's it until I go to work. It's not ideal. It really, really isn't. And it's unsustainable. I cannot do this for too long. It starts to drive me nuts. I did it Tuesday, I did it Wednesday, and I did it Thursday. And yesterday, at the time of recording, Thursday's one, I was distracted as hell. By the end of it, I was actually getting cranky and cross with what I was having to do. So today I ended up changing up a bit. I've still worked, hence why I'm sitting here talking to you. This is an example of me working now. But yeah, that's what it's been. But it's allowed me a chance to really, really catch up. Now again, that's dependent on certain factors as well. It's dependent upon the releases I'm covering, how familiar I am with them already, what thoughts are formulated, if I have any notes already, all these things that make it easier. Sometimes it's as simple as, does my mind spark when I hear something? Like, for example, I'm listening to a death metal release. There's a high chance, particularly if I'm tired of nights, that I'm not going to really be able to write anything too inspiring about it. So I probably shouldn't. It's not their fault, but it's simply put, it's a traditional death metal release, kind of ticking all the boxes, thoroughly enjoyable, but I put in the passion and energy and effort into it, and have I written a paragraph and basically summed up the album already without any other substance? That's a problem. That's a point where I struggle, because then I haven't got a good flow. Where other times, I'm going to use the band that I've been covering tonight as an example, Imperial Triumphant. I approached that with serious dread tonight, thinking, right, you've written a lot of notes about this, you've got a lot of singles written about it already, now let's put this into an album and give the full thing several goes over, put it on in the background. I probably listened to it about 3 times back to back first, without, oh no, that wasn't my initial first listen, but tonight, about 3 times, well, it was more like 2.5. I think I got halfway through the third time and thought, right, I've got some words to start putting down. But in a row to kind of just get into the vibe and get in the headspace, and then I started writing. But I was really dreading it because, of course, it's the Imperial Triumphant. It's a difficult band to write about, difficult band to describe and sum up. But it flowed. It's a very lengthy review. It's very detailed, and I'm really happy with it. And that's just sometimes how it works. I love that. Video content is obviously another side of that, where if I'm tired, I'm not vibing, I'm cranky, whatever feelings I'm getting, that will affect the video. It will cause an issue. I figured it would affect this. Now, thankfully, I feel like I'm flowing here, even though it's, as per usual, quite rambly. But it does have that effect. So, again, it's all about someone's forcing myself and then getting into the vibe and getting into the feel and not going, right, let's just go sit and stare at the computer screen, the Xbox screen, and play a game. I needed this content. I needed to work hard at it. And thanks to that, I've now hit Friday, the end, and the weekend coming up, and I'm in a much better position, a much stronger position, and able to now look ahead and go, right, how does this affect next week? I plan every day. I plan my days every single day. Sometimes the plan's like quite fluid and quite wide. So, for example, I might have a day off, say next Wednesday, which is a day off for me. I might have between the hours of 12 and 6 album reviews, music reviews, with a few releases jammed in there. How I do that, how I write them over those hours doesn't matter. That's the block that's dedicated to it, and that's what I mean about having a certain fluidity to it. As long as I hit the goal, that's all that matters. But every day I plan. I have to plan. Otherwise it starts to stress me out and gets me upset. It's what, thankfully, Lou's very understanding about this. Really, really is. And kind of like, so when I'm like, look, I'm going to put my headphones on, I'm going to the computer, and I'm going to be sitting there for the next 4 hours before I go to work. She's kind of like, she's cool with it. She's cool with it. That's what the other stuff we do is for. That's the going out stuff anyway. And it benefits my mind, benefits me, makes me relax, makes me a happier person, and ensures that everything keeps ticking over for now. I have had wonders this week, whether or not I could sustain a lot of this sometimes, but a lot of it sometimes is my own fault. And I'll purposely take on too much. I will procrastinate, just like everybody else does, but procrastinate at the wrong times. And yeah, that's going to happen. I know I'm not always going to feel like doing it and stuff like that. But so far today, I've kind of avoided burnout and stuff like that. There's been times where it's got a bit close, but for the most part, I balance things well enough. And because, and I think this, right, because if I'm getting kind of sick of writing up music reviews, I can pivot and write a horror review, watch a film. If I'm getting sick of that, which I often do as well, I can pivot and play a game. Put on some small indie game, play it for an hour or two, write a review. Maybe I've got a book I want to read. Maybe I've got a show I can start. I've got several at the moment that I'm really looking forward to starting soon. Shall I tell you? Okay. Shenmue, really looking forward to watching that animated show, but also likely to be doing Earthworm Jim. Earthworm Jim is likely to be coming up soon, replacing Pac-Man and Ghostly Adventures, which while isn't finished on the YouTube channel, we're almost finished it. Oh my god. So that's super exciting. Certainly I've got all these extra elements to the site. It's why I never want to lose these extra elements, even though we are like 80% music. It just allows me to take a breath and go do something else, and it's so important to me. I built up a huge catalogue of horror movie reviews I wanted to write. Was kind of dreading getting into it, but once I got into it the other night, really got into it, and suddenly it felt like it was fresh and interesting again. I love that. I'm really, really lucky to have that. I'm really glad it exists. Yeah, that's the balancing act. The videos versus written and how it works for me. It's a mess. I doubt that'll surprise you. I'll imagine if you're in a similar situation, you also do the same. It's spinning plates, isn't it? And just hoping they don't all come crashing down. For the most part, I'm very, very good at keeping it balanced. Yeah. Crazy week though, right? Crazy week for releases. It's when I compare this week to next week, I'm talking from the popular side of music as well. Crazy. I mean, alone. Well, there's a Whitechapel from the heavier side of music, Spirit Box. They made new singles from Ghost and Volbeat. A lot of popular music. And it's no surprise if you paid attention to the content that I got well and truly won over by the Spirit Box newer album, Tsunami Sea. Now, I say won over, but that's only because I wouldn't have called myself a fan before. I liked them, and I thought they were certainly a better of the modern bunch, certainly less polarizing, but I didn't quite get the appeal, if I'm honest. Sometimes the music was a bit formulaic. I think elements of the band are fabulous, but I also think they are no different to other fabulous music and so on and so forth. This album, I think, is simply phenomenal. I really, really do. I love it. I'm still listening to it now, and it was a genuine pleasure to review it early, get hold of it, talk about it, and hopefully share in the general public as excitement as much. Finally, I'm on board. I love that. We always say, myself and Brett have said it many times in videos, man, we don't want to be on the outside. I don't want to hate a band. I don't want to dislike things. I want to be in. I want to join the club. I want to be excited too. I have no interest in being contrarian, get it out, contrarian about anything. So anything that can change my mind, anytime it changes mine, it's a fabulous thing. What's a mind for if not for frickin' changing? And that is an absolute joy. But there are times, and I'm back to a segue now, where into the final part of this video, where I do get a little contrarian, and I'm kind of like, I ain't watching or I'm not listening to this, I'm not doing that because everybody's doing my nutting over it for whatever reason. Until I eventually do, and then I'm like, yeah, people were right. It is a flaw in my character. I am one of those who kind of gets... I'm not like, oh, if it's popular, I don't like it. That's not it. It's more the fact that when people bang on about something to me, oh, have you seen this? You've done that, whatever. I get really, really sick of it quickly. It gets really, really irritating. I'm not one to kind of stick with something if I don't enjoy it. So, for example, I never actually finished Game of Thrones. I watched all of Game of Thrones up until like the last season, and about 4 episodes in, hated it so much I just gave up. I've never seen the ending. I know all about the ending. I tell a lie, I've seen clips of it, but I've never seen the full thing. I'm going to leave it that way. But, for example, I hadn't seen Breaking Bad up until this year. No, late last year, sorry, late 2024. When it came out, I had no interest in that kind of show. I've never really got interested in crime-related stuff and drug-related stuff and all of that. But I just didn't really care for it. And then everybody kept telling me, oh my God, the best thing ever, the best thing ever, and the best thing ever, and so on and so forth and all that. And I was like, yeah, I'm not watching it. Got no interest. Anyway, a few months back, well, end of last year, I think I thought, right, I think I was just watching it on Netflix, like, while I was doing other stuff. And I kind of binged it. And I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. It was a very good show. Maybe not as great as people act, but certainly a good show. But that's been a common thing, particularly for shows more than anything else. I was a very late adopter to Stranger Things. Didn't start watching it until season 3 came out. Yeah, everyone was right. It's a great show. Well, it was a great show. I still think it's a good show now, but I'm really not vibing. Like I miss the first season stuff. I'm the more less elaborate side of things. I miss that. But that also applies to certain movies as well. We keep banging on and telling me about it. There were certain movies that I simply never seen because I've got no bloody interest at all in seeing them at first, and then everyone keeps telling me I should see them. That is absolutely infuriating. Shut up. I'll watch it if I want. If I don't, I won't. But for the most part, it doesn't really happen in music. I was just trying to think there of an example of music where I was kind of like, look, I'm not listening to this because you're all really annoying. No, thankfully that doesn't really happen in music because it's easy enough to digest the music differently. Like if everyone's telling me, oh, you know what, I guess, no, because I still listen to Sleep Token. I'm using Sleep Token as an example. People are really freaking annoying about a band like Sleep Token. Hell, Spirit Box is a great example. People are really annoying about them. But yeah, Sleep Token is the best example. But no, I listen to Sleep Token. Still reviewed an album of theirs, enjoyed that album to some degree. So there's nothing really in music where the anti-popular thinking kind of sticks, but it certainly does have an effect, I think, when everyone, particularly the louder parts of the internet, are loud in an obnoxious way. I think I jokingly saying to Lou the other day, I'm hoping that this new album from Spirit Box will have a certain set of people stop speaking about Spirit Box in this way, which is, I really love Spirit Box and I really love Spirit Box. Courtney LaPlante's vocals are, and it's like, okay, right, there you go. Like, it's like, yes, Courtney LaPlante's vocals are immense. What an incredible singer she is. But Spirit Box as an entity, as a group, give them all the respect they deserve there as much as anything else. I often wonder if some of these people are actually like Spirit Box or just like Courtney LaPlante's vocals, particularly her clean vocals. And it's really interesting how aggressive she is on this new album. It's one of the things I love about it. I'm on board. I love her vocals, although people please as well, drop the poppy joke. Honestly, some of you are coming across disrespectful now. Like, the joke's done, let it die. She handles her fantastic on that, but you constantly comment on their content, go, well, what does Poppy think and all of this is really, really annoying. I'd imagine from their and her perspective as well. But yeah, just that loud side of a person where they are, I don't know, it's a modern internet thing really, isn't it? It's the TikTok generation where, God, I sound old when I say that, but where everything's an extreme and over exaggeration. Well, to be fair, that's not exactly new. That's been the case for a long time. People using the word epic to describe just even the most mundane of things, that over exaggeration of everything. That's what it felt like. The initial Spirit Box interest felt like over exaggeration, just like it does currently feel like with Sleep Token. For me personally, you know, the whole like Vessel's voice is the best thing ever. Great voice, stunning voice. And for you personally, it might be the best thing ever. But the fact that someone will say that and then proceeds to shout down anyone who says, well, I'm not really doing it for me, that kind of thing, that over exaggeration, that overstatement, and that anger that comes from anybody questioning or having a differing voice. Nobody has the right to question your specific point of view, of course, unless you're saying something absolutely absurd. Remember, folks, not every opinion in the world is right. And if and that doesn't mean it's valid either. If you're wrong, you deserve to be called out on that, particularly if it's about an important subject. But when it comes to something like this, it is your opinion. Believe it or not, it is your opinion, and another person's opinion is equally as valid. Now, provided that's not coming from an aggressive, angry place or an insulting or a nasty place, because of course, you know, people are very mean and nasty about Spirit Box and Sleep Token and all elements like that. But as long as it's not coming from that perspective, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with having these debate and having these questions, having these different opinions. And maybe a band like Spirit Box isn't vibing with you. And maybe a band like Sleep Box isn't vibing with you or me either, and so on and so forth. There's nothing wrong with that. The whole point of this was just kind of to talk about how I am able to also fall into these same traps. These traps of, people are well annoyed and talk about too much. Oh, I'm not going to watch it now. And stuff like that. Even though I try really hard, and most of the time these days I'm very good at not falling into that trap, it still exists, particularly when there's content. There's a lot of content. I use Breaking Bad as an example. I probably would have watched that sooner had it not been 5 seasons long. Do you see the point? 5 seasons is a lot of time to sort of put into something. So that can be off-putting as well. But yeah, when it comes to music, for the most part, I do tend to defer to my own opinion. I know how hyperbolic the world can be, how hyperbolic the internet can be. I can do it as well. I certainly enjoy doing it to some degree. But yeah, I'm certainly more willing to give something a chance. I hope you are too. And it's been such an incredible, like I said, an incredible week for releases. So you certainly, sport for choice of Spirit Box isn't your jam at all. It feels like it's not going to stop. Although next week, the release schedule is less intense. It's ramping back up come the 21st and the 28th of March. But that's for another week. That's for another week. All right, nearly 30 minutes. That'll do, right? That'll do for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I have. I always enjoy talking to you. Or talking to myself, because isn't that really what I'm doing here? But regardless, I appreciate you sitting here and potentially just listening to my ramblings, my nonsensical thoughts as they spill out of my mind. Remember, folks, I got very little notes. I'm going to give you an example, actually. See if you can see it. This is how unscripted this crap is. This is what I had as a guide, a rough guide to what was going to be, what I was going to cover here. Hence why it's all over the place and you get the pauses and the annoying tangents and stuff like that. But this is 9 episodes in. You should know how this works by now. End of March is looking really cool. Can't wait for some live shows. It's been a while already, thanks to work. I haven't been to one in, a week? Yeah, actually, you know what? It's not been that long. It's actually not been that long, but it feels like it's been that long. Anyway, enough from me. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.